Hello everyone and welcome to the Slipknot Discography tier listing video. I'm recording this live over on the Twitch channel, so that way you'll have a live audience with us checking things out and voting on each album, so that way you know it's not just one person giving their thoughts. My name is Luke, host of the YouTube channel Rocked. Hope you're doing well. Hope you enjoy Slipknot as much as I do. I got my Slipknot hoodie on. You can't really see it, but my wife got me this hoodie. From the graphic here, we're sticking with the main 7 full album releases. So we're sticking with self-titled to start off with, going all the way to last year's with the end so far. We're not doing EPs, we're not doing the live albums, even though they're great, like Live 9.0, things like that. Sticking with the main core albums. Going all the way back to when I first heard them in 1999 with the self-title. When I first heard Wait and Bleed on the Scream 3 soundtrack, back in the day, terrible movies had awesome soundtracks. I heard Wait and Bleed for the first time, blew my little mind. I heard the rest of Slipknot's self-titled album, also blew my mind. It showed a different side of that style of music back in the day. I don't think Slipknot would have had any longevity if the first album was not so good. After Wait and Bleed, I heard Sick, I heard Spit It Out, I heard songs like Surfacing. I didn't know what I was getting into at a young age, but I knew it was something special. Slipknot went from playing small stages where people did not know what they were to huge stages in pretty short order. The vote came into 92% gold, overwhelming majority, and that was my vote also. Easy way to start us off. Self-titled, going gold. How does Slipknot move forward from the self-titled? They double down on the intensity and the anger and getting darker in themes and imagery. They go back to Iowa. If you've been to Iowa, you'll know there's a lot of farms and fields and not much else. Iowa proved Slipknot was not just fronting on stage and pretending to be tough. They could back it up with talent and the imagery and the description of so much. They created something so much stronger and visceral with Iowa, and I think that still stands out. It's my personal favorite Slipknot album, and that's saying quite a bit because I really enjoy all of Slipknot's discography. Iowa is adamantium. Iowa is vibranium. Iowa has the same joke. Iowa is platinum. Everyone has the same joke, apparently. See, when I first heard stuff like the Heretic Anthem and Left Behind, before I got Iowa, I was like, wow, okay, Slipknot is back. And then I heard Disaster Piece, I'm like, oh, Slipknot's going gross and way too intense. They do at points. It's still my favorite album for the music involved, the intensity, just the raw, ferocious attitude. Iowa is better than the state of Iowa. Okay, that I could actually get behind. There you go. And I get that Iowa might be too much for some people. That I do understand. This is not nearly as accessible for new listeners as other Slipknot albums. At 79%, the overwhelming majority also says gold for Iowa. I agree, and I also understand people that would say silver or have different reasons for not saying Iowa as gold tier. At least compared to the self-titled, this is doubling down on so much chaos and anger and attitude, so I do understand that a little bit. For me, it's still gold. That's what I voted also. We then go a few more years in to 2004. Volume 3, the Subliminal Verses, Slipknot album that did not have a parental advisory. Oh, it had language, but it didn't cross that threshold into parental advisory sticker. We also have so many big songs from that made mainstream. Not just like rock radio number ones, no. They went mainstream. They were a big deal. Volume 3 took Slipknot, who were already on a top shelf, and plopped them directly into everyone's living rooms. That was giving them the spots all on late night again, getting them more access on different channels like MTV and VH1, while also being huge on radio still. Volume 3 was huge. You have so much in an album like this that is accessible, more accessible than Iowa was. You have Duality and Before I Forget. Those songs became massive staples that even non-Slipknot fans know the music. That's how you know you've officially made it to a much bigger level than rock and metal bands behind you. When there are just random people that know I push my fingers into my eyes, yeah, you know you made it. It's different from Iowa, obviously. It's also a bit different from the 1999 self-title. There's still so many good things about this album, including Jim Roots playing, including everything from Joey Jordison. That being said, it was Corey that proved he could do so much more than just scream ferocious anger, rah, rah, rah. He's got quite the chops for singing also. And I think this album helps showcase a bit more of that on that side. There's across the board so many good things with Subliminal Verses that help show why Slipknot deserves to be in a much broader realm than just the niche metal fans who like the mask wearers. I think Volume 3 is great. I want to see what you guys think. The Blister Exists to the Nameless is pretty flawless. Yeah, there's a big section of songs on here that you go back to a lot. Many people do. And I get that as well. The Majority Still Rules. It's 62% gold, 15% silver, 23% bronze. I think that's interesting. I kind of get it, but at the same time, I still say gold as well. I still think Volume 3 accomplished so much while being great that it's definitely gold. That's how I see it. We then go up to 2008. Slipknot's about to have some tumultuous times in the future, but right before that, All Hope Is Gone. And before anyone says All Hope Is Gone is the weakest Slipknot album, or it's not the most popular, or there's not as many good singles on it, I still don't think it's bad. There are still great songs on All Hope Is Gone, including Psychosocial. I don't think we show enough appreciation to something like All Hope Is Gone when an album like that has snuff. So there's definite merit on an album like this, but I do understand the arguments looking back at Volume 3 and then Iowa, and then you get All Hope Is Gone. It does kind of take you back a step to look at what Slipknot was doing at this time. You have something like Sulfur, which definitely showcases more of Corey and what he can do. Sid Wilson was spinning throughout the album course. This one had Sid in the right dosage. You had him stand out at the right times, and I think that's interesting as well. Jim Root's still killing it. I think there's so many great things on an album like this. Even I can say it doesn't come close to the first three. Self-titled, Iowa, Volume 3. And I say that because All Hope Is Gone was such a, not direction change, it was not the blast and full front effect that Slipknot had for so long, for such a strong run. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a front-to-back masterpiece and there's stuff that I haven't skipped before, but there's definite stuff I've come back to over and over again through the years. See, the majority here has 58% silver, 25% bronze. I have my notes here. You probably won't see them on this right here. You'd have to zoom in or pause it really well. I had All Hope Is Gone as bronze, like a high bronze. You may not outrule me on the other ones, but you know what? I'll go with you guys. I'll put it in silver. After we lose Paul Gray in true tragic fashion, Slipknot had been quiet for a little bit. Then they came roaring back with Point 5 The Gray Chapter. If you're not familiar with Point 5 The Gray Chapter, all you have to do is go on TikTok and you'll hear Custer. 8 years in the making to get those streaming numbers. So many good things about The Gray Chapter that I feel get overlooked. So much of The Gray Chapter revolves around songs that were not big before. Custer was not a huge single or anything back in the day. It is now, and that's what people remember it for. See, I remember hearing The Devil and I as a single and Kill Pop as a huge bonus thing on the album as just a straight I hate the music industry type song. There are so many deep cuts in The Gray Chapter that I think it overlooked. But again, it did not have the strong singles power that previous albums had. And I think that's why it was so well received at the time, but it did not have the long-lasting impact that other Slipknot albums did. The Gray Chapter is more consistent than All Hope Is Gone, but it's also a grower. It is a grower, that is fair. I don't think it stands up as close to the first three albums. There's solid stuff. There's deep cuts in this album, in an album like this, that really do shine. You put this a step below All Hope Is Gone. See, I was different. I put this one a step above All Hope Is Gone, but I know you guys are all going to be different on this one. The Negative One, also a big deal. That was one that was actually a single for Slipknot as well, that I think stands out. And The Gray Chapter has more standout moments than people give credit. 77% say bronze. Silver, 15%. A lot of people said bronze on this one. I don't know. I would have put this on silver and All Hope Is Gone at bronze, because it's still really close. It's not like you all said, no, this is gold, what are you talking about? Or you said put it in trash. No. We then move forward 5 years into 2019. It has been a while for new Slipknot. We finally got word that a new Slipknot album was being announced. We got singles, we got the material, we got new masks again. Everyone was happy. We Are Not Your Kind came out, and I lost my mind. I did not think I could love a Slipknot album as much as I did again with the first three albums, as I did with We Are Not Your Kind. And when I heard All Out Life, I was so excited, but then when we heard Unsainted, then I got the album and I heard Nero Forte and Critical Darling. I was blown away. Slipknot was back in my heart and making me so happy. This was killer. This was my number one album in 2019. My favorite album of that year. Some of the writing structure they had, some of the guitar work, the lyric hooks, so many different elements. Beginning to end, it was a visceral trip that really played with your mind, and Slipknot started having more effects with that and actually taking time and space to take breaks from the fierce and heavy to really get into your subconscious and play around with that almost. We Are Not Your Kind proved to me that Slipknot still had more than enough to work with. Yeah, Solway Firth, yeah. I mean, you have the ender like Solway Firth, which was brutal and just so violent in imagery, and you could just hear so much aggression, and you hear the fangs in something like that. I can't say enough good things about We Are Not Your Kind. 77% gold, another overwhelming majority, and that's what I said too. Awesome. I don't have to overrule this one. I still say it stands up so well with the rest of Slipknot's discography on that top tier. We then pushed to 2022. We were not expecting another Slipknot album this fast. We got it with singles. We got it with everything. We heard the Dying song off of The End So Far. We heard other things come out. We knew Slipknot was doing something different this time. We knew 2022 was going to see a different side of Slipknot. And people were thinking, is this the final album? Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of great stuff on The End So Far, and it is different. This is arguably the most different sounding Slipknot album of the entire discography going all the way back to 99. I would say there's still great stuff on here. I think the shock of some of the directions they took on this one pushed people over the edge. I think that's what happened though. And I kind of understand that. For my money, there's way too many good songs like Hive Mind and Hell, along with the Dying song, that make this album worth seeking out. I've used the Dying song as an alarm for the last year. My wife is not a fan. That is an interesting choice for an alarm. You say it's a risky record? Okay, that's a fair statement. It's a risky record. Maybe I can see that, but Slipknot can do whatever they want. You gonna tell Slipknot no? Still in the cellophane is the misprinted The End Is Near Slipknot album. The printing company made a boo-boo. I think hearing some of this live also reinforced what I thought of The End so far. There's good quality craftsmanship, and I want to say this as well, as this is the last Jay Weinberg Slipknot album. Jay Weinberg crushed this thing. He was amazing on it. See, Warranty's a big fan for a lot of people. Yen was another single leading up to the album release. I stand by. Hive Mind and Hell were the ones that really hooked me, along with the Dying song, which was, I still think, was a great single. Hearing that live this year really cemented what I thought about the Dying song as well. I don't think it's bad by any means, and I think there's so many good points on this, and it's different, that it's worth talking about. And for the most recent Slipknot album, The End So Far, overwhelming 92% said silver. And you know what? That's what I said too. There's too many good moments on this one, and it's something different. And I get that's gonna scare a few people away, but I was all into it. What you're looking at right here is our tier list for the Slipknot discography. Of the 7 main albums, not including EPs, live albums, blah, 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 you guys voted 5 out of 7 the exact same way I did. The difference was you guys said All Hope Is Gone was silver and The Gray Chapter was bronze. I had those swapped on my own personal. However, I'm not going to argue because you guys did outvote me quite a bit. And looking at this, I can't be mad at it. There are so many bands that could not even dream of having a 7-album run with that high of ranking across the board without falling flat at one point. Go ahead and leave your comment with where you would rank everything. I would rather have a band try and not know what's ever going to come next than have them stuck in a rut for years. And never once in this discography have I felt Slipknot was stuck in a rut. If you're new to Slipknot, I have a short on YouTube that I'll link to. 5 songs to get into Slipknot. Also, if you're looking for a full album to try, I would start at the beginning with the 1999 self-titled release.